welcome back, and today we're gonna be continuing with our blog app on Ruby on Rails. And in the past episode we have covered a lot of stuffs in Rails. So let's see what we're gonna learn today. Today we're gonna see the remaining update and delete operations of posts in our views, and then we will be seeing something called resourceful routes. And resourceful routes is a kind of convention or configuration in Rails. It puts some kind of convention over routes, though those routes are called resourceful routes. And then we see validations, how we validate the user input in forms and only store data which are valid in our database, right? So let's start our today's session. Open the app in your favorite code editor, and in last session we ended up writing this form which takes a title and a body of the post in a form and submits that to a URL which is /post/create, and that is gonna go to the controller post and gonna call the method create, and that create is gonna save that blog post in the database. So that's what we have seen. Okay, now today we're gonna see the remaining stuff, which is updation of the user record. That is nothing but updation of a blog post. So as we have seen, creating a blog post took two steps. That is, first you need to show a form to the user so that the user can enter the data for the blog post, and then the second step is posting that form to another URL called /create, and that stored the data that you entered in the database. Similarly, if you want to update a record or a post in the database, there are two steps in Rails. The first step is showing the form to the user with the data to be entered with the already existing data, right? So suppose if you want to edit a post, which is our first post, you need to show form with both the title and the body filled out for that particular post, and then they can edit that post and click update to update the particular post. So thus hence we need two steps. To accomplish those two steps, we first go to the routes.rb file so that we can specify the routes for our application. So the first route is gonna be like something like this: /posts/:id/edit. So what does this post/:id/edit means? Something which is different here is this :id. So what does this :id means? This :id is something which is dynamic and it's not static in our route. Suppose if I go to the browser and type in /post/1/edit, it means I'm gonna edit the first post, that is the post with ID 1. So this ID is gonna change. Sometimes you want to edit 10th post, so you give post/10/edit. Sometimes you want to edit the second post, so you give 2. So this is dynamic which keeps changing. So to specify a parameter which is keep on changing in our route, we specify that with a colon. So in front of that particular dynamically changing parameter we give a colon, so Rails understands that this ID is gonna change in your route. And then I'm gonna give this to post controller and obviously to the edit action, right? And I'm gonna name this as edit post. So we will have a variable in our view called edit post_path. Fine. And then we have to define another route so that we can get the data from the form and store it in the or update it in the database, similar to this create action. So this time we're gonna call it as update action, right? So a create action creates a new record, while the update action updates a particular record in the database. So here also we're gonna have a dynamic parameter called ID, and this time I'm gonna call that particular ID and followed by /update, and then to the post #update. and I'm gonna call it as update posts. So we would have a variable called update posts underscore path in our view. So these are the two routes we need, and then what we need is we need to go to our views folder and create two new views. First view is for the edit option, so I'm going to give edit.html.erb. okay, and then I'm going to create another view which is going to called update.html.erb. okay, so we have two views, edit.html.erb and update.html.erb, and this edit.html.erb is going to have the form with data already filled in so that the user can edit the data in the form and submit that to the Rails. And this update.html.erb file is going to just show a message: your post was updated. Okay, so that's what this gonna say. And in the edit.html.erb we're gonna have the same form, so I'm gonna go to the new.html.erb, copy the same form and paste it back in the edit.html.erb. However, this time we have two important changes. The first thing is I'm not gonna be posting it to the post/create, I'm gonna be posting it to /update, and then this is gonna be again a post method, but this time we want the values in the table, in the text box and the text area to be filled out. So what we do, so for that we need the actual post which is being edited. So how we get that? So if you think I want to access some kind of data from the database in a particular view, that should be done in the controller and it should not be done in the view. So what I do, I go to the post controller, and here I'm going to define a method called def_edit, and in this def_edit I'm gonna grab that particular post. So how I grab that particular post? The idea is, since I'm passing the post ID in the URL, this will be available in the params hash as ID. So if you remember in the last video, as I said, params hash is nothing but a hash which has the key value pair of all the requests you send to the Rails. So I'm sending a GET request through the URL with an ID passed in over here. So what happens, Rails will have a key value pair in the params hash with a key as ID. So how this key has become ID? So that's due to the magic of route. If I specify here ID, then I will have a key in the params hash by the name ID. Suppose I give here something different, like instead of post, if I give post instead of ID, if I give post ID, then I need to access it not as ID but as post ID. So it actually depends on what is the dynamic parameter name which you have given in your route. So this is an important concept. So I rename it back to ID because it is more meaningful, and I save that, and I have the ID of the post. So how I get a particular post with this ID? If you remember, in the last video we have talked how to get a particular record from a table with a particular ID. So we use the find method, which is a static method in the class post or any other model. So I say at post, which is the class name, dot find, and I give the ID of the post. So I would have the actual post stored in this instance variable called post. So what I can do, I can go to this edit.html.erb. In the values section, I can put an embedded Ruby tag, and I can say at post.title. And similarly, I have to specify something in this text area. So in this text area, I need to fill in the actual body of the post. So I give value is equals, I'm I'm not sure whether the value attribute is used for setting value in the text area, but let's try. Okay. With that done, what we can do is we can head over to our browser and type in a post to be edited. So for that, let me go to the php myadmin, php myadmin, and we log in, have blog development, and we have a single post with id 1. So I want to edit this particular post, so I say /post/1/edit. Okay, so it says there is no method in the post controller called edit. So let me have a look at it. We have an edit method. In the routes have I specified? Yes, I have said edit. So what's the actual error? It says okay, there is no title, it says, for nil class. Okay, it says it's a nil class. So why does it say that? In the post controller, I'm setting it as @post is equal to post.find, and I'm giving the params hash. Sorry, here what it is, you should be giving it as a symbol. You should be giving it as :id. I hope so. So if I read the page, yes. So the problem was you should be giving this not as a string, something like id. You should be giving it as a symbol, which is :id, right? Sometimes in Rails symbols should be used. Sometimes both symbols and strings can be used in a particular place, but most of the time prefer symbols because they are faster to access in Rails. Okay, now we have the one problem fixed, but we still have a problem that we can't get the actual data in body. As I said, I am not sure that whether the value attribute is used in text area to display data. I hope it should be given in the tag itself. So it should be here. Let me reload, and it does. Yes, we have to give the value for the text area within that within the space in the start tag and the end tag. So now we have a form which gets filled out automatically if I give a particular ID in this form. Now the next thing is I have to click on this and I should update it. So it says there are no routes yet, so let's handle it later. And now here we should change this from create post to update post, because we are not creating a post, we are updating a post. So update post, let's say that. And in the routes we have a post /id, and then we have the post updates. The problem is actually in the edit form I have given /post/update, so this is not right. We need to be giving here /post, the ID of the post, and followed by /update. So here is a problem that in between this string I need to insert a dynamic variable. So one way I can do is I can put a double quotes in place of it, or simply I can do is what I can do is I can put an embedded Ruby tag right here and say @post.id. So what it does, it will have /post/ and from the embedded Ruby tag I would get the ID of the post, and it will be replaced right here, and we have the particular ID /update. However, this is a very bad practice. As I said, route should not be given statically in our links or any places in our views, and we have already done this in our new.html.erb. So how we get rid of it? It's very much simple. What we have to do is, instead of giving it right here directly, I can give the route name, which I have already given in the routes, called create post, right? So I say in the new.html.erb called create post _path. And similarly, let me go to the edit path. Now I have to replace this whole path by update post path, and that's it. And make sure you put it inside double quotes, and we still have a problem. The problem is in the routes like this, create post path, or routes like new post, there are no dynamic variables in the actual route. But in routes like this, edit post and update post do have a dynamic variables called colon id. So how we tell Rails that this particular path is for this particular post? By just It's not possible by just providing the variable name update post path. Rails won't understand that this update post path is for which post. So for resolving that, what we have to do is we have to pass in the id of the post as an argument. Okay, so I would have earlier said that this is a variable, but actually in Rails these names update post path, new underscore post path are actually not variables, they are methods, and these methods can take arguments, and those arguments are the dynamic variables which are defined in this route. If I have one dynamic variable in this route, I should pass in at least one parameter in this method which I have given as named routes. These are called named routes, and these named routes are actually methods, and these methods can take arguments whenever these routes have dynamic variables. Still, now I have just one dynamic variable in my route. So what I do, I just give that one particular a particular id in that method. So now if I go ahead, reload the page, and now I say first post edited and say update. It says your post has been updated, but if I browse, the changes are not reflected because we have not saved this in our database. So how we save? We save it in the update action in our controller. So now we have a route which posts our form with edited data to the update URL in our Rails application. Now if I go back and if I give view page source, you can see that I have the action of the form as post/1/update. So this one is dynamically taken from the post ID, and the route was formed using the named routes. So this is the one of the most powerful use of named routes in Rails. So there is no need that you should mess up with the dynamic variables in the routes by putting embedded Ruby tags in between the path of your routes or links in your Rails application. So with that said, we have to go to our post controller and do our update action. So we have to define our update function def update end, and now what we have to do is we have to store the post which was updated in our form. So first I need to find the post which is to be updated. So that's again done by using post.find params colon id. So we have a post to be updated, and if you remember the last video, I said the post to be updated can be updated using the update method in the object, and this update method takes a hash as an argument, and that hash can have key value pairs with key as the attribute and the value as the value. So now if I apply this hash to this method, it will be updated in the database immediately. So I need the hash. So how we get the hash? No problem, we already have a method called getParams which takes the params and passes it and takes the hash which has a key post and then permits only 2 attributes in that. So I can just call that method. So getParams. So now you see the use of this particular function. We are using it in 2 places, so we are not repeating ourselves. So we are following the dry principle or don't repeat yourself principle in Rails. So now if I save that and go back and say /1/edit, say first post editor, editor, and update post, and it says your post was updated. If I go browse, it says first post edited, and the body also says edited. So we have edited our post successfully. So this is how we edit our post. And the remaining thing is what we're gonna do is we're gonna destroy a particular post. So how we gonna destroy a post? However, it may sound complicated, like destroying a post. It's very much straightforward and simple. If you see that creating a new post and editing a new post had two steps, like new for new and create for creating new post, edit and update for editing a post. However, for deleting a post, there is only single step. It's called destroying the post. So I can define only a single route in my routes file, and it's gonna be a get method and slash posts slash I need to say which particular post is to be destroyed. So I say :id, and I'm gonna call destroy on it, and I'm gonna give slash to posts, and I'm gonna have called destroy method on it. Okay, and as destroy post. Okay, we have destroy post. So now for that we have to again create a view, destroy.html.erb, and I'm gonna say your post was deleted. Okay, now I have to go to the post controller, and I have to say to the Rails to call this particular method called destroy whenever I give the URL slash post and an ID and followed by destroy. I have to first find the post which is to be destroyed, so that's again done by giving something like post dot find params :id, and I just call post dot destroy. As I have already specified in the last video, this would destroy or delete the record from our table. Okay, now if I go to the routes, it says you have to give a dynamic variable called id. So now if I go ahead and say /1/destroy instead of update, it says your post was deleted, and if I go and browse, see there are no more records. The one single record is deleted. So that's how we do it. However, if you see in our application, I need to type in each route every time /post/new every time to do something. If I want to create a new record, I have to give /post/new. So I give first post hooray, and create post, and to update to edit the post I give /1/edit. Sorry, I hope it's 2. Yes, so give edit, and then we have to update it, and to destroy it I should give destroy. So this is not a good application. We need to do all these things through hyperlinks in our application. So how are we gonna do that? So now let's redefine our application so that we have links to edit a post, delete a post right in the in place. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to my application, and I'm gonna go to the index.html.erb page, and after that body I'm gonna place two links, one for edit, another for delete. So I say equals link to, and I'm gonna call the name of the link to be edit, and I'm gonna take that particular user to the link edit post path. If you see, this route has a one dynamic variable called id, so I need to pass it as an argument to this named route. So how we get it? we already have a post object in our each loop iterator. So I can use that object and call post.id on it. So now if I go to our slash post, I would see a link called edit. I can click edit. Now I can go to the edit page. So now I should also have some kind of uh, new post in every page. So from every page I should be able to create a new post. So that calls for putting the link in the layout file. So I go to the layout file, go to the application.html.erb, and before the yield, what I do, I put a link called link to, and here I'm gonna call it as new post and new post path. If I refer the routes.rb, the new post route does not take any kind of dynamic variable, so there is no need I should specify any kind of argument for this. So I can save that. Now if I reload the page, before that let me put a horizontal line so that it differentiates as a navigation bar. So we have a new post. I can go ahead, type in a new post by clicking on the link second post. So this is a second post, so click create post. So it says the post is successful. Now from any page I need to be able to go to the home page where it lists all the posts. So I need to have some kind of link here called home, so that I go to home, see all the list of posts which have been created. So I can paste another link and call it as home, and here I'm gonna say it as post path. So you may see in routes file I have called it as posts, which is the index action, and the post controller I am calling it as post, so you would have access to the to it in the view as post underscore path. So now if I reload the page, sorry, if I reload the new page, I would see home. Click on home, I go to the home. If I click on new, I go to the new post. If I click on edit in the second post, I go to the edit option of the second post. If I click home, I go home back. So if I go click on edit in the second post and type in something like editor, and this is to editor, and click update post, it says your post was updated. If I go home and see, the post is updated. So this is how we link our application. The one more link is remaining is destroy or delete. So I go to the index.html.erb. Now I'm gonna add a link to the delete post. For time being, to give some insight on this delete post, I'm gonna use the anchor tag instead of this link to helper tag. So for time being, understand that I'm doing this for some kind of reason. So here I'm gonna give the path as destroy post path, and in the routes, if you see, this takes one dynamic argument or dynamic variable, so I give it as post.id, and I'm gonna say here called delete. So now if I go ahead, reload the page, if I click delete, it says your post was deleted. If I go home, there's only one post. So what we did, we redirected the user just to the particular URL, so it created a get request and it deleted the record. So here we have two problems. The first problem is this is not a conventional method. It's not what Rails suggests. And the second thing is we are not asking any kind of confirmation to the user whether you want to delete this record or not. So the first thing, what is it's not according to the convention. So in Rails, when you create a new record, you show a form. To access the form, the user should do a get request, and to submit the form or data, they should do a post request. This is what Rails tells us. You can also you could also not follow it, but it's a convention, it's a suggestion. So Rails says if you create a new form, to display the form, use a get request. To submit the form, use the post request. Similarly, to destroy a record, you should not do a get request. You should do something called a delete request. So what's a delete request? You might have heard about get and post request in HTTP, but delete is also a type of request. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change this to something called delete. Okay, and now if you see, if I say delete, it's gonna say there is no route which matches get request and this path, because I have changed it to delete request, right? So now how we do a delete request? You may know to do a get request, you just type in the URL in the browser. To do a post request, you can use a form and post data. But how to do a delete request? It turns out that to do a delete request, you need to use some kind of JavaScript. But Rails helps us with that. There's no need that you should use some kind of JavaScript. It comes bundled with that JavaScript code. You have to just specify in the link that for this link you have to use the delete request. So hope you understand. For doing a delete request, you need to write few lines of JavaScript. But Rails does it already. It has those few lines of JavaScript. You have to tell Rails that you have to invoke that particular lines of JavaScript for this particular link. So how you say Rails that? For that you need to use an attribute in the anchor tag called method and give the name of that value of that attribute as delete. So now if I go back, reload the page and say delete, actually we have did a small mistake again here. So actually we should be calling it as data hyphen method. So because just the method as an attribute would throw some kind of validation error of the HTML in W3. So it suggested that use data hyphen method. So if I click delete, it says your post was deleted. So we made a delete request. So now if I go to home, you'd see there are 0 posts. I can go ahead, create a new post again. Create post. If you see, this time we are creating the post, and if I go to home, if I click delete, we are doing a delete request, not a post request. For to show that, you can go to networks tab in your consoles in Firefox. If I click delete, we are doing a delete request to the destroy. So even you may see this post, it's actually a kind of a delete request which is being sent. Okay, so here you can see it has sent the method as delete through the request. So it tells the Rails that this is a delete request and it handles it. Okay. So that's how you do it. And the second thing we need to handle is we need to ask the user whether they want to delete this this particular record. So if you think this must be also done in few lines of JavaScript, and don't worry, Rails has already written those lines of JavaScript code. It's just your role to tell when to invoke that particular lines of JavaScript. So how you do it? It's again simple. You just specify an attribute in the link called data hyphen confirm, and this is gonna take a value of the question which is to be asked when they click on the link. If they click yes for the question, it's gonna be deleted. If they click no for the question, it's not gonna be deleted. So I'm gonna ask the question, are you sure to delete? So now you might have figured out that this data confirm calls a few lines of JavaScript which Rails has already written, and what it does, it's gonna create kind of a confirm dialog box which asks this question, and if clicked yes, it's gonna delete. If no, it's not gonna delete. So now if I go and home and create a new post again, go home, click delete. Now you see we are getting a dialog asking, are you sure to delete? If I give cancel, it's not gonna be getting deleted. If I click delete and OK, it's gonna delete. Okay, so now if I go to home, see no records. However, we still have a problem here. We are not using the link to tag, we are using the normal hyperreference tag. Now how to convert this exact tag into link to tag? So that's why I used a normal anchor tag, so that I can show you how this is done using normal anchor tag and then convert this exactly into a Ruby helper method. So how we do, we first call the link to method, and with the first argument as usual it's gonna say delete. The second argument is the path, so I'm gonna say destroy post path, and then now I have to tell Rails that this is a delete request. So how I do using this kind of stuff. So I say data and I give a hash for it. So what does this mean? If you see, for this both data confirm and data method, the common prefix is data. So if you want to specify an attribute which has a data as a prefix, you need to give in any helper method as colon data as, and the value for that key is a hash, and this hash is gonna have two keys which are the suffixes. So here we have a suffix as method, so I can give a key with the suffix as method, and I'm gonna give delete as value for it, and I'm gonna also give another suffix which is confirm, and the value for it is again this, are you sure to delete. So this is how it works in Rails. To specify any attribute in the tag with data as a prefix, you give colon data and it takes a value, and that value is gonna have a key value pair, and the key in those hash are gonna be the suffix in that particular attribute, like confirm and method. So with that done, let me take away that old link and reload the page, create a new post, go to home. It says some kind of error. Whoa. Okay, here what the problem is, we have not specified the actual dynamic attribute. We have not given the argument for the named route, which takes one dynamic variable. So if I reload the page, I still say it. If I click delete, it's gonna ask a value. If I click OK, it's gonna get destroyed. If I go to home, I have the post. So now we have done creating a new post, editing a new. Now what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do some kind of housekeeping or some kind of more grooming of our app. We're gonna make our app more precise and more crisp, and we're gonna reduce the amount of code we have written. So if I go to the new post, if I type in any kind of value, if I type in any body and click create post, what it does, it goes to the create page and gives you a value, and what you do, you just click home again, and whenever you are editing post, you update the post, and when it's get updated, you click home again. So whether it's create, update, or even delete, after you get that your post is successful, your post was updated, your post was deleted, you are redirecting yourself to the home. So rather than asking the user to click on the home every time whenever we perform this kind of create, update, and delete operation, why can't we redirect our user directly to the home page rather than giving a page of information like your post was successful, your post was updated? So how we do that? So that's pretty much straightforward. You have to go to the controller first, and in the controller, after saving it, rather than showing a particular page, we can use a method here called redirect to. This is actually a Rails method which redirects to a particular page. Here I am redirecting to the post path. This actually the named routes variable, it's also accessible in the controller. So I am saying post path, which is /post. So I'm redirecting to the post. So after update to, I'm redirecting to the home page. After destroy, I'm redirecting to the home page. Now if I go and reload the page and click edit, I'm gonna type something like edited and click update post. Now I'm not getting shown some kind of page like your page or your post was edited, your post was updated. I'm just getting redirected to the home page. Similarly, if I go to new post, type in some kind of new post and click create post, I'm taken to the home page, and if I click delete and OK, I'm again taken to the home page. So there is no kind of intermediate page which says information about what was happening. So now with this, what we have gained? We have gained uh, 3 less pages. There is no need that you should have a separate page for create.html.erb to be shown every time. So I can delete this page. I can also delete this destroy.html.erb, which is also not necessary. And also this destroy is also deleted. Okay, update is also deleted, create is also deleted. So you just have index, new, and update is also not necessary. We are not showing any information for update. So if I delete, that's gonna also get deleted. So in our post we have just 3 files: index, new, and edit. So we have reduced 3 files by just redirecting our user to the home page. And the next thing is we're gonna redefine our routes a little bit. If you see here, we are doing /post/create /post id/update. So we are creating a new route every time. We are creating a new route format every time. So this is a bad practice in Rails. So what Rails suggests is, if you are creating as post in post/new, then you can actually you can post the data to a URL something like this, just /post. So if you see, this is a get request, but this is a post request. So these two URLs are different. So I can just post the data to /posts, and I can call this as create posts. And then rather than having a separate URL called /post/id/update, I can just post it to post/id. And rather than having a delete post :id/destroy, I can just have something like post/:id, and that would be doing a request to the destroy. So we have just changed the URL names of the Rails application to make it more realistic. Actually, these are the URLs which is suggested or by the Rails. So these are called conventions. So rather than keeping it as /destroy, you just keep it as /post/id, and you are doing a delete request. So if you are doing a get request to the particular URL, you may get some kind of the details of the post, but if you are doing delete request, it's gonna delete. So if you are getting a get request to the /post, what it will do, it will list post. If you are getting a post request to the /post, what it will do, it will store data in the table. These two may look similar, but they are actually different. This is a get request, this is a post request. And here also we are again doing a post request to the :id. So now we have changed the values in the routes. Should we go to the actual new.html.erb and edit.html? Should we change any kind of routes? No need at all. Actually, we have used named routes. So if we change something in the routes.rb file, there is no need. We go ahead and edit all kind of views. So if I click new post and type in some kind of new post and click create post, it still works. If I click edit and say edited and click update post, that still works. If I say delete and OK, that still works. So we have redefined our URL to be more precise. So that's what. So now if I go to the routes.rb file, we see the whole routes. So yeah, that's how we do create, update, and destroy operation in our Rails app using models. So I hope we have just time for another topic which is little bit shorter, called resourceful routes. So what are called resourceful routes? So now if you see here, we have this amount of routes. If I go to my terminal and say rake routes, it's gonna go ahead, open the routes.rb file, compile it, and display all kind of routes we have. So we have a route for new post, create post, edit post, update post, and destroy post. However, if I have two more models, suppose if I have a controller for listing all the products in my page, so I have the same amount of routes redefined again, and here I will be calling products and here I am naming it as products, and this is to be replicated to all routes. And what happens, this route files gets big as hell and it will be more confusing, and we are repeating ourselves, so that's not Rails expects in us. We should be more precise and repeat ourselves less. So what we do, so Rails provides us with one useful method in this route file called resource. So you call the method resources in this routes file, and the first argument takes is the name of the controller. So the name of the controller is post. So if I save it, and if for time being, if I comment this post all the routes and just have this method called resources colon post, save it, clear the terminal, and if I again rake routes, we still see the same amount of routes, but here if you see, we are having a get request slash post, and it is given to the post controller with index action, and we have a post request to slash post, and it having no kind of, it has no names, but it is redirected to post and the create action. And we have a new post which has slash post slash new, and it's taken to the post controller new action. And we have edit post which takes post slash id slash edit, and it's taken to the post edit action. And we have post request to slash post slash colon edit, and it's taken to the post show action, which we'll be seeing later. And then we have something like a patch request which is similar to post request, and it's taken to the update action. And we have a delete request which is taken to the destroy action. So what's this patch request? This patch and post requests are different. Patch request is automatically done by Rails whenever we update a record, so there is no need that you worry about it. So if you see, we have written just a single line, but these all routes were automatically generated by Rails. These are the routes which Rails suggests for us. If you take any kind of model like post or books or products, you basically do 4 operations: create, read, update, and delete. So these are called CRUD in short form: create, read, delete, and update. Okay, so what Rails does, it suggests this predefined amount of routes for a single controller. So we should be using these routes in our Rails controller. So there's no problem that we have changed our routes to this single method. Only single problem is that in our new.html.erb we have created or used the variable name create post path, but this create post path is not defined in the new route suggested by Rails. What we have is something like this slash post, and it's called to the post create. So how we do, if you see, this slash post and this slash post are actually similar. So what Rails did is, he did not give it another name, it just called it slash posts. So what I do is, I just put here post path, and this post path is available here, but it has not given name for this post. However, they are same URL, so we will be getting same URL here. And since we have defined the method as post, it will be doing the post request, so it would match this particular route. And if I go to the edit.html.erb, I would again see here update post path. We don't have any kind of update post path in our route, but we have something like slash post slash id. So that's where we were posting when we were updating in the older routes, which we have here update post, which we have posted to post slash colon id, and here it's called by a single name called post. So what we use in this edit.html.erb, we just use post path, and it do take a dynamic variable colon id, so we say at post.id. And then finally we have used a variable here called destroy post path. However, we don't have the destroy post path suggested by Rails. However, it is the similar route slash post colon id, so I can just use this name again, just something like post path, since this post path URL is similar to something where we do update request and also delete request. So we use the same URL name, sorry, the route's name again and again. Similarly here too, we use the post path for defining the path where the form to be submitted using the post path, because they both are the same URL. So here if you see the uses, we have reduced the names of our routes by 3. We just have 3 routes name, sorry, 4 routes name, sorry, I hope it's just 3, and so no, 4. This 4 route name can be used for our entire model for creating, updating and deleting. So now if I go ahead, create new post, okay, there is post path, URL generation. So exactly I have a mistake. Actually I should go to the new.html.trb and replace this by post path. Actually we need to be posting it to this one, slash post, so it's called by name slash posts. So if I go ahead, reload the page, give it a title, with resource route, routing, something like that, create post, it's gonna still work. If I go edit and say, okay, if I go home and edit this one, routing, editor, update post, it says an error again, no routes match slash post slash 10. If I go to it, post path, we do a post request. Okay, actually this is gonna give us a kind of error because Rails has redefined our routes. So you'll be seeing this in our next video, so there's no need that you panic about this, just leave it. This update is not gonna work for the routes which you have redefined, and delete will still work. So delete works. So update and sorry, creating a new record and deleting a new record still works by just replacing our whole routes by a single line resources colon post. So in the upcoming videos we would say how we handle that particular request in our edit option. So for time being you may try replacing this post by put method or patch method. Actually it says update as patch method or put method. So if I go ahead, edit it, say update method, so it doesn't work. So let's see in our next video how we do this editing option. So for this we're gonna use something called form helpers in our next video. So that's it for today's video. Hope you liked it. If you like it, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you have not subscribed yet, go ahead and click on the subscribe button. So thank you.